Hello my friends, it's Ray back at CigarClimatology. A couple of things. First, an apology for my muddled voice. If you happen to get a glimpse of me, maybe you will, I'll put my head in here. I look like the Lord Humongous from Road Warrior. The fact is that a little while ago I had 3 vertebrae in my neck fused. Had a problem that I never even knew, but it's not a wonder what one trip to the hospital will do for you. Anyway, I am healing, but that does not mean that I wish to completely do without, and making the videos about the CigarClimatology Generation 12 humidor build is one of them. The last video, what we did is we did a little recap on some of the internal wiring. Now, I don't know that I actually ran this in a previous video or just did it separately, but I popped out the bottom grommet on the internal cooler side to run these line voltage wires. These are actually the white and black line voltage, which go up here and power the controller. Okay, now the controller itself needs 2 kinds of power. It uses line voltage power to run it. Okay, so it's electrically a line voltage powered appliance. But what it does is it controls 12 volt DC signals. Those 12 volt DC signals are the language that the relays talk in. So the relays are talking 12 volt relay signals, yet the controller is basically run by a 110 volt power supply, or not power supply, but your line voltage power. Okay, so that's important to understand. Now, just as a good convention, I try to keep some of my line voltage away from my low voltage. It's more important really when it has to do with sensors than in this. There's going to be no interference really. There's no wires touching. They're not bare, but I'm kind of a creature of habit. So as a creature of habit, I tend to just group things naturally so that I don't confuse myself by accident. You can accidentally say wire one of these fans to 110 volts and it's going to go up in smoke, and it's going to go up in smoke real fast. Okay, if it doesn't just completely burn the fan out instantly, it will go ahead and short circuit one of the breakers in your house, and you don't want to do that. So you know, I want you to be careful. I want you to try and follow my conventions, and I want you to be real careful when you do it. And one of the conventions is, again, trying to keep some of these separate. Now, you might have noted that there is another orange wire in with this 4 wire set. This guy here, those are the control wires, but it's on a completely different loom. It's on a completely different assembly, and it's already done. It's already wired, and it comes up to one of these types of connectors, which I've already plugged in into the back side of the controller. Now, like I showed you in other videos, the controller has connectors which hopefully you couldn't possibly screw up. Blue to blue, male, female, 4 terminal connectors go together for the controller. A black one for these essentially control what I call digital out or signal wires. Okay, can't really screw that up. The power, this is a black female connector, and then the 12 volt power that goes to it, that's going to be a red female connector. Again, I'm going over all this stuff again, probably because it's been so long since I've done one of these videos, since I've been out sick. But that's the convention. So let's get to doing a little work here. Now what I've done is, like I said, I've safed off this end, right? And actually, when you safe off, you should always safe off both wires, but this is just a reminder. I zip tied the pair together just so that they don't really get in my way too much. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to straighten this strand out, and I'm going to feed it through the feed it through this loop first, okay, this pad, and let me make sure you can see what I am looking at. Right, so this is the corner that I'm going to be working down here, and I'm going to go back and forth getting in front of the camera, so I'm sorry, but that's just the way it works. So it's going to go through there, it's going to go through the hole in the bottom, and there's one thing that I want you to try and do when we're doing this stuff, okay? So when I'm doing this, I'm not coming through and I'm not piercing through and poking through other wire sets like this. You see what kind of chaos that causes? You don't want to do that. You want these to be totally separate from those, all right? And you don't want to go taking one wire and then running it through the center of a bunch of other ones. It's just not what you do. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get it through this, and hopefully this thing's going to agree with me because I'm not in the mood to fuss with it. Okay, so we're going to continue to put these in here like that. You feed them through the outside and then through to the inside, all right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull them pretty much along a good portion of the way through, all right? Now this assembly is going to end up wired about here. Can you see that? Yep, you sure can. Boy, my doc would be killing me if he saw what I was doing with my neck. So they're gonna end up about here, and excuse me. The same for this 2-wire assembly that's going to power the fan. But remember, this is low voltage. Okay, so let's put this guy in about right here. And just as I said that, I guess it's straight enough. It's good enough for government work. Okay, so then that guy is going to support, this guy right here, and I'm going to be pretty happy with that. And then on the other end of that is going to be this set. And they're going to go in there too. So let's go ahead and get this guy started. That. And I've already tinned this one end, okay? This guy. So let's actually start on the opposite end with him. Let me make sure that this is within camera view. It is. And what time do we have here left on the video? We were at 15 minutes. We're running out of time. So what we're going to do here is this is going to be a low voltage all-on assembly. So we're going to anchor one side of it over here into the red 12-volt assembly. And we're going to anchor the other side of it over here to the green 12-volt assembly. I'm going to gather them up, make them kind of neat, and then what we're going to do is I guess we're just going to bring them down out of the way and into this loom, okay? Alright, so let's see, is there anything else I'm going to put over there? No, I don't think so. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and snug this down so I can start to neaten some of these things up. Okay, so those guys, and I might come back here later and zip tie this, or zip tie these. Again, I like it to be really neat. I just like it to be really neat. And then what we're going to do is we're going to, I got a thing about this as well, wires that are different lengths. So I'm going to trim that out. I'm going to bring it through here, and I'm going to bring him through there as well. So I got the orange-white set, and I got a green-red set, okay? So look, remember, if you make a mistake, you can always clip one of these wire wraps. I want to visualize some look of completion, so I'm tying some of this stuff together. Okay, and that's going to be the gist of what I run through this side. So we're going to do one other thing real quick. I'm going to squeak my finger in here, and I'm going to pop this wire gland out of the bottom, okay? Because I'm going to use that for the humidor. I'm sorry, for the humidifier. Alright, so we've gone ahead and we've done that. Now, remember, in order to get these into the I/O box, you feed through first, right? And then it would be into the end of the nipple, right? Like so, so that you can push the nipple back in from the inside and reseal it. Now remember, like the last video, don't get too ahead of yourself here. Don't get too tangled up. What you don't want is you don't want to go sucking up stray wires like this and then wiring through them, because guess what? You got to come back and you got to do it all over again. All right, so that's where that guy's going to go, and I think that's going to be the only guy that's going to run through this nipple. So remember, these have two kind of fine rubber sides, so you do have to feed them with a little patience. Get through and snug this guy up. I'm going to step in front of the camera here a minute. Okay, now remember how I told you to put those in. You push them from the back, you apply pressure from the back, and then you just massage that nipple until the lip comes over the edge of the plastic. You might be able to see that here. See, they got a lip right there. It comes over the edge of the plastic. Now don't tear it in half, okay? They're pretty pliable and they're pretty forgiving, but if you just really yank on it or get a pair of pliers on it or do something kind of wacky with it, especially something with a sharp edge, all right? You're going to tear the damn thing, and then you're going to be without one, because I typically don't put extras of these in the kit. These stupid little things are actually kind of pricey for what they are. Okay, so that bad boy is in, and what's going to happen with this is this guy too is going to run out into the back of the cooler. Now remember what I told you before, don't try not to run wires through other wire sets. Run them next to the other wire sets and not through them. Because then what happens is if you have to pull these, they get kind of clogged up and then they start to pull on other wires and it's just kind of a pain in the butt. Now I should have actually used an example of what happens if you wire a wire through a wire. Well, that would be dumb, see here, because if I'm not paying attention to what I was doing and I let these wires run through the center of those, then I have two sets of wires attached to each other, and that's or kind of strained, and you don't want to do that. Alright, so I'm going to make a quick visit around the back and I'm going to hunt those down. Alright, so I did that. Just going to look at one of my notes here real quick. Okay, so that guy's been hunted down. And this guy, let's go ahead and play with one of those pads right here. So you're going to say, well, Ray, why are you going to leave so much wire on that? Because what happens is in this area right down here is your humidifier assembly, okay? And that's it, all right? Now what I've done is I've given you a pigtail with a blue connector on it. That's for a reason. Remember, this guy also has a blue connector. It's blue like water, okay? So that's got a blue connector on it, and that's designed to fit with the humidifier assembly with the whip on it. Now I put the whip on it for a reason, because this is not a zero service item. The humidifier will fill with water if you live in a very humid environment. Okay, and what it will also do is it will lose water if you live in a very dry environment. So it's all going to be dependent upon air exchanges, opening the project to go ahead and get a cigar, you're allowing a lot of air to exchange back and forth. And you can go onto my YouTube channel and probably look at some of my air exchange examples. They're tremendous. I mean, if it's one thing if you never go into your coolers, but if you go into them and you can pick up a lot of water from the atmosphere, or give the atmosphere a lot of water. It just depends on how long you leave the door open and how often you go in for a cigar. So this guy goes right down in this area, and the clip's here so you can pull this out some to work on it and use it. And I really should have included the drain in this video, but I didn't. So that you can use it, and if it's just getting in your way and it's a problem, you can come here and you can detach it. All right, and you don't have to fool with any of this stuff. So it's a quick detach, but they do lock together. It's a quick detach. You can take it out. You can then fill it on your desk or on your floor or wherever you want to. And if you need to take the wick out and install a new wick, you can do that too. Okay, so that's why that connector's on there. It just makes it easier for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this up to hold the wires, well, let's say back here. And the reason for that is fairly simple, so that if we leave this long, this guy can just fold away. This guy can just fold away back here, but you don't want to pull the wire in and out of this assembly. You want to make sure that it's long enough to get you outside the cooler. Okay? So what do you think of that? I think that's probably long enough. And then it can just sit in here wrapped up kind of like this. Alright? And let's see, we're going to need to do something with that guy too. We'll come back to him in a minute.